Hello everyone and welcome to the Carcode YouTube channel. If you're new here, please make sure to hit subscribe down below for all the latest new car content. Today I'm checking out this is the Subaru Crosstrek. A huge thanks to Subaru UK for lending me this vehicle for a week so I can really give it a good test. The Crosstrek used to be called the XV here in the UK, in Canada and America, Crosstrek. So we've also got the Crosstrek now, which I think is a pretty cool name, and it looks pretty good in this blue too. But the most important thing for the Subaru is how it drives and the off-road capability. We see quite a lot of small SUVs nowadays, so this raised up ride height isn't a new thing. You see more of them than hatchbacks, but not many of them have got all-wheel drive, and permanent all-wheel drive at that in the case of the Subaru. So let's start off with driving the Crosstrek and seeing how capable it really is. So this car does have X mode as standard. As I say, they're all-wheel drive and it's permanent all-wheel drive. So that's where your fuel economy suffers. You do also have hill descent control on the X mode that just comes on automatically when you put it in the deep mud one or in the snow and dirt one. Essentially what the hill descent control does is it controls the brakes, so you don't have to keep your foot on the brake and it just keeps you creeping along. So I'll demonstrate it in a minute when we get up here. The X mode is also quite clever, tunes the engine to be best for the scenario and gives the grip to the wheels that needs it. The Crosstrek's also got Subaru's Symmetrical all-wheel drive, which provides equal power to each and every wheel. So it's meant to be more stable and more stable feeling as well on the road than a two-wheel drive or other all-wheel drive vehicles that just kick in when needed. This is permanent, so it's meant to give the right grip to the right wheel. And that does feel quite confident actually going up there. Right, we're coming down a hill, foot off. And you can kind of hear the brakes cutting in. I've not got my foot on the brake, so the car just creeps down and does it all for you. Of course, they're all automatic as well, so you don't need to change gears. I would have quite liked a manual transmission on this. I think it would have suited it well, but unfortunately you don't get one. So we'll put it back on hill descent. And X mode, feet are not on anything. And it's just doing its job at controlling the vehicle's speed, so that's very good. So it does give you that really capable feel, and it's quite confident as well. Especially if you were in a really snowy environment, this would instill a lot of confidence, because obviously braking where you're going to skid, the car sorts it out for you by itself. So that's actually really handy feature to have. Going to make you feel a lot safer on the road. Hill descent control again. Look at that. I mean, it reminds me a lot of the hill descent control in the Isuzu D-Max. It's got that sort of capability, which is really quite good. It kind of gives that vibe. If a Ford Focus and a D-Max had a baby, so it's obviously a bit more everyday driver focused than a pickup truck. One thing that I noticed that's really good with the X mode as well is that even in reverse, the hill descent control works. It's clear. You can hear the brakes cutting in there by itself, so that's going to control you down the hill very slowly, which is really quite cool. So all of that braking there was just hill descent control, so I didn't use the foot brake at all. Got hill descent for not only going forward down a hill, but backwards as well, because I think a lot of brands don't do that. They've just put the front hill descent, but this is actually a full function hill descent control as you'd expect from a proper, more off-roading vehicle. So bumpy stuff, it does pretty well. And as you can hear, it does like to rev quite a bit being a CVT. So it's traditional CVT. You do have 7 simulated gears that you can use with the paddles on the top spec touring model like this one. So it's got more of an old school feel to it, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not an awful CVT. So you don't have front parking sensors, which is a bit annoying. So we'll take it up to normal roads now, so we can see how that is. The brakes are pretty good. It's not as electrified as some other hybrids, and the fuel economy shows that. So I've averaged over the last 109 miles, 27.8 miles per gallon. It isn't great on some other journeys. I got like 40 miles per gallon, like max out of it. And I'm quite a careful driver as well, so I'm not like being ragging it about. But I understand it's not going to be the most efficient being all-wheel drive. It's a heavier vehicle. I'm using the paddles. So if I come off the accelerator now at 50, it's not gone into EV mode, which most hybrids would do. You can hear the CVT as well. And then that vroom, it's not like a vroom, like a proper gearbox. So we're going 40, 3, 2, 1, floor it. That's 60. That's 70. So it does get up to speed, and then once you're up to speed, the revs drop really quite nicely and you're cruising just over 2,000 revs. So that's not bad at all. Like I say, it's got 7 simulated gears if you like, but it's a CVT. Let's take a look under the bonnet and have a look at the unique Subaru engine on offer. Nice lightweight bonnet. Underneath here, you'll see the engine does look quite big. That's because the cylinders are this way rather than this way or in a V shape like a V6 or V8. So that's very unique to Subaru. Does mean it uses more fuel and it's permanent all-wheel drive, like I say. You do have a small electric motor with the vehicle and the battery, which has not kind of been identified the size of it, but thinking around 0.6 kilowatt hours, so quite small for a hybrid vehicle, hence why you're not getting a lot of the electrical assistance. The electric motor provides 13 brake horsepower, and then from this engine you get 134 brake horsepower. You get a maximum torque from the system of 182 newton meters, which isn't a massive amount compared to most hybrids either. When you do put your foot down, it does go. Like I say, it can make that raw noise from the CVT quite a bit, and the changes aren't so change. They're more like that kind of elastic band feel that you get from an older CVT. But most people get on with it pretty fine, but it can sound quite loud at times. So something to bear in mind. But if you're used to a CVT transmission or perhaps an old 4 or 5 speed traditional automatic, then you'll also be fine with this. There's a pretty good engine, very reliable. So this is a key point for Subarus, is they're known to be reliable and safe. So it's got a 5-star Euro NCAP safety rating. For safety and comfort, you can't really fault it. And reliability is excellent as well. And there's a lot of cars, to be fair, that are going to do a lot better on motorway miles, etc. But you probably won't pick this car if that's you. It can do it though in comfort. Like, I'm not uncomfortable, doesn't feel loud or anything like that. It just isn't necessarily its forte. Like, it's not really majorly electrified. You do get a little bit of the boost from the electric motor, but it's only 13 brake horsepower, so it's not going to blow your head off. It's more really to lower the emissions of the vehicle than anything and boost the economy slightly. Official MPG combined is under 37 miles per gallon. Bit of a gas guzzler. It's not turbo though. Doing well cruising actually, because you can get those revs quite low. We're under 2,000 revs at 65 here. It's a shame you can't turn the all-wheel drive off. It's always on. So that's obviously going to use more fuel as well. It feels like it's got all the new car technology, but kind of in an older shell, an older interior, which I think a lot of people will like. Good visibility as well, so you get really good view out everywhere. The A-pillars are some of the thinnest I've seen. Even at the bottom, they're nice and thin, so the view out's excellent. It's gone into EV now. As soon as you put your foot down, it does get quite loud. That was a proper shift there. It doesn't feel as snappy as the CVT that you'd get in a Honda though. The petrol Honda Civics, the CVT in those did make that noise a bit, but they were turbocharged engines, so they had a bit more of a snappier kind of change and a bit more of that sportier feel, which this doesn't necessarily do as well. Most cars really like the kind of 40 to 50 miles an hour mark, and they do excellent on fuel there. Most hybrids as well. This one seems to really like either town driving like below 20 miles an hour or fast driving above 60 is where you get the best fuel economy. So there is a few other cars that will give you this look but are going to be better for your fuel economy. So we've established that the Crosstrek's pretty good to drive off-road and not so bad on the road. But what about the exterior design? Well, I actually really like the look of the Crosstrek. It's got a very chunky SUV stance which matches its off-road capability. So you've got this cladding around the wheel arches, which isn't for everyone, but I quite like it. You've got that raised ride height, plenty of ground clearance on the vehicle. As standard, you've got the roof bars, which do look good and add to the SUV aesthetic. On this top spec, you do get the gloss black mirror caps, which are nice, but don't add a massive amount to the design of the vehicle. To the front of the Crosstrek, the bold design is continued with these big chunky bits of black plastic, again kind of wrapping around the front of the vehicle. You've got this nice big grille as well. all a very chunky vibe. Unfortunately, you don't get front parking sensors on any model, which is a bit of a disappointment. These headlights are nice and slim as well. Full LEDs are standard. I'll show you those now because they do look really good. So as you can see, the side lights or LED daytime running lights really do look sleek, and the main beams even more so. They've done a really great job with these lights. The actual LED headlight on, which I like the high intensity bulbs, they look really good and have that eye-like look as well. These are standard across the range. They do look really great, and extra safety as well on the vehicle, allowing you to see and also to be seen very well. The Touring model does also add the auto dipping feature of the full beams, which is another nice feature, making it even more convenient to drive. Alloy wheels on the Crosstrek range from 17 to 18 inch wheels. As standard on the limited model, it comes with these 17 inch diamond cut alloys in a grey and silver, which do look really nice and suit the look of the car very well. Going up to this Touring model, you get these 18 inch diamond cut alloy wheels as standard, which do look great as well. They've not gone crazy with 19 or 20 inch wheels, so you still get a really good chunky sidewall, which is great. As standard, they come with Yokohama tyres, which are pretty good, generally pretty grippy. As you can see, the press office has fitted some excellent tyres to it, Michelin Cross Climate 2s, which I have on my car as well, so they're excellent. If you just very occasionally go on a bit of ice or snow, a normal front wheel drive car with these tyres is going to do the job. So something to bear in mind. However, if you really do need the all-wheel drive capability, the Crosstrek is great. Then adding a Cross Climate like this just ups its capability again. The wheel arch design in general reminds me quite a lot of the Hyundai Tucson. However, these cutouts actually do have a function, and that is obviously for airflow over the wheels to create less drag on the vehicle, and also it's meant to be more stable at higher speeds. In the UK, we currently have a choice of 6 different exterior colours for the Subaru Crosstrek. As standard, it comes in the white pearl, which I really like. It's that sort of off-white creamy colour with the pearl effect that looks excellent. All optional paintworks are £695, which is about average for this size of vehicle. This is the Oasis Blue Metallic, as Subaru call it. However, I've looked at it very closely and I can't really see any metallic flakes in it. It's a solid colour, but it looks great nevertheless. It's very bright. It shows up on video more like British gas blue. It's kind of a little bit like that, but a bit more bright. It's really quite nice, similar to what we've seen on Fords in the past. Volvos, they used to have one like this as well. There is a few different other colours available though as well, including the crystal black silica for a really sleek understated look. Magnetite grey is also that understated look, a dark grey metallic, which should be quite popular. You've got offshore blue metallic, which I really like. It's like Honda's Sonic Grey. It's a grey blue, which looks really great. And last but not least, you've got the sapphire blue, which is more of that indigo blue colour. But my favourite, without a doubt, is this Oasis blue. I think it just stands out and looks great. Unfortunately, there was an orange, but you can't get that anymore on the UK configurator. That was the Sunblaze Pearl. That looked really great. There is still some new and nearly new models in the UK available in that colour, so you can find them if you look out for them, but they're not available to order from factory, it doesn't look like at the moment. But I'm glad they've gone for some more funky colours, even if 3 other colour options are blue. They seem to like blue Subaru, but I like the colours there. It's basically just black, white, blue, 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 or grey. To the side of the Crosstrek, the chunky design continues. Great ground clearance for the all-wheel drive system. Of course, you want it to be capable off-road. That's what it's designed for, not only to look like that. You've got the BOXER badges at the side there, and it just looks quite good. Of course, there is other cars that give you this same look, but not the off-road capability. That might be better suited if you just like the look, but don't necessarily need all-wheel drive, for example, or need that ground clearance. 2 cars that do achieve this pretty well, in my opinion, are the Kia Exceed, so that has this raised hatchback look, and also the Ford Focus Active. Both of those cars are a little bit more modern feeling inside, will do better on fuel economy as well, and maybe better choices for you. If you are doing off-roading though, the Subaru is the easy choice. And there's a reason that the Crosstrek looks like one of those raised up hatchback crossovers, and that's because it is based on the Subaru Impreza. We don't get that in the UK anymore. So the nearest kind of competitor that I can think of to this vehicle would be the Mazda CX-30 with the all-wheel drive. You do have to go for the top of the range CX-30 to get that, and it ends up being a similar cost to this vehicle, but it will look a bit more luxury, especially inside, a bit more modern as well, but it's not going to have the exact capabilities that this vehicle will. If you're more on-road, then you can have a look at some more options. But as an off-road vehicle, it's very good. The rear of the Crosstrek, the chunky design continues as well, including these kind of pincer Tail lights that remind me of a crab. The exhaust is hidden just here, but there's no nasty fake exhaust, which is great. You got your rear parking sensors there and your rear camera just out the way there. So yeah, it's all quite nice. Proper wiper. Fuel cap is also very easy. It's on the driver's side, and unlike a lot of Japanese cars where you have to pull a lever inside, this one's just a press, and there you go. Untwist that. Oh, it sounds like it needs fuel. And then pop that up there. So all quite simple to do so. You will need to know how to do that because you'll probably be fueling it up quite a bit. And how is the interior of the Subaru Crosstrek? Well, it's quite familiar feeling, it's very chunky and quite tactile, so that means it's quite easy to get along with. A car that it really does quite remind me of is the 10th generation Honda Civic. So perhaps not the most up-to-date vehicle, it doesn't feel the most modern on the market, but I think a lot of people will like that. Everything's quite easy to operate. There is some nice standard features across the range, including your heated front seats, which I really like. This 11.6-inch central infotainment screen is also standard, which is great to see. It's quite easy to reach everything, which is nice. You've got your media controls, wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto is fantastic. You do have these physical controls to turn the climate up. As you can see, it comes up there, or you can press that. Air conditioning is a shortcut, as is turning the fans on or off. So that's quite useful as well. But it would be nice to have an actual physical dial for those. Literally, they could have just put in one for the fans and one for the dials, but it's not too hard to do it. Surprisingly responsive, actually, because it looks like it would be quite clunky, but it's not. It's actually easy enough to use. One thing is you do have to put auto hold on each time, and it's not like an actual physical button. It's a shortcut through the screen, which isn't the best. The dials themselves, you've got this TFT display on all cars, which is colour and it is really quite clear, as are the analog dials. I really like them. I'm not bothered that it's not a full display. I have to say the 6-speaker sound system is quite poor in the vehicle, unfortunately. I did tweak some of the settings and it's just not great, so that could be a lot better. I'll pop it in reverse. You can see the rear camera is standard on the vehicle, which is excellent, as are rear sensors, so that's really handy. You don't get front sensors though on any model, which is a little bit disappointing. There's no wireless charging in the UK, unfortunately, but you do get a USB-C and a USB-A. Standard equipment though, you've got Subaru's EyeSight system, which has forward collision warning and a lot of other safety assistance systems like the blind spot monitoring, which is inside the mirror, which is a great place to have it, like in a Volkswagen, so you can really clearly see if something's in your blind spot. That's standard, so it's really safe. Touring adds the little sunroof, moonroof, which is quite cute. You can have the little blind across, again quite old school, but I really do like it, and you can have that open as well, so you can get a bit of fresh air in as well in the summer. A nice day like today, get a bit of sunshine in is really nice. I really do quite like that. And what I really like about the sunroof is you've got a separate button for the tilt, so you don't have to faff about with it. You can just use this button, which literally is just to tilt it and then just to close it again. The dash is all quite nice soft touch materials actually, which is quite surprising. Bit harder plastic down here, and then this fake carbon trim, which doesn't look great. It is kind of quite grey and quite black in here, which isn't the most exciting. I would have loved to see Subaru do something a bit more fun inside the cabin. In Canada and in the States, they do have more fun, funky interiors with different colour stitching, like orange stitching and stuff like that. I would have liked to see that, because I think people who are going for the Subaru wouldn't mind a bit of fun. Even that Oasis blue from the outside in some stitching or on a panel would look really cool. It would have been nice to see them do that, because it is a little bit bland feeling, but still feels well screwed together, good quality, just not the most modern in here. This touring model also does add your electronically adjustable front seats, which is nice, so really easy to control, gives you a more luxury feel as well, adds a modern touch to the vehicle definitely. You've also got your electronically adjustable lumbar support. You've only got 2 trims to choose between on the Crosstrek, which makes it quite easy, and there's not really any options you pick. You just pick your colour and your trim, and that's it. It makes it all quite streamlined. These leather and leatherette seats are very comfortable, which is nice, and heated as standard whether you get the cloth or not. This is what the cloth seats look like. They do look quite nice. They remind me a lot of Toyota cloth seats. You still get this armrest though, regardless of the model you go for, so that's nice. Solid and well built, but not necessarily the most luxurious or sleek feeling inside. Moving on to boot space and practicality on the Crosstrek, let's take a little look. It's not an electric tailgate even on this top spec model, unfortunately, but it's quite light, so that's good, and you've got a handle there to lift it as well. You've got a retractable style load cover as standard, so that's quite easy, and some nice little pictures of mountains on there as well. The boot doesn't look that small, but it's 315 litres, which is a little bit pokey. It's smaller than the 335 litres on the Honda HR-V, and it doesn't have the flexible magic seats that you get from that vehicle either. However, that's because you've got all-wheel drive, so power to the rear wheels, and also your hybrid battery for the vehicle does, lift that up, live under there, so that is taking up a good chunk of the space offered as well. You've got space here for your tyre inflation kit. I quite like the built-in parcel shelves, but this is quite handy. If you've got dogs, you can just quickly move out the way and you can unclip that quite easily as well. So that's all quite good, and it is a nice practical space. It's quite flat as well, so quite flat, boxy. Does look bigger than 315 litres, to be honest. It's just not as big as most competitors. As I say, handle very easy to shut the boot, nice and lightweight, like so. You can see there the seats do fold almost completely flat, which is quite good, and it gives you just under 1,000 litres of space. Again, not as much as most competitors, but it looks like a decent enough space. I could live with this perfectly fine. If you have a bigger family, you probably would want something bigger, but I think if a normal hatchback suits your lifestyle, then this will be absolutely fine. As for your rear seat practicality in the Crosstrek, I'm about 5'8". This is set to my driving position. I've got quite a bit of knee room, and headroom's not too bad either. You have a little moonroof in the front section, but that doesn't impact on the headspace because it's kind of carved out here. So it's the same whether you get the limited standard model or this touring model. So it's actually quite practical in here. You do have a central rear armrest here with 2 cup holders, and you've also got a USB-C as well as a USB-A back here, which is great. Middle seat, how is that? Okay, there is a big hump, of course, but that's actually really quite a comfortable middle seat. This section is quite spongy, and that can normally be quite hard on a middle seat, so that's actually one of the better ones I've seen. You do have 2 sets of ISOFIX points in the back, none on the front seat. Covers for ISOFIX do feel quite cheap and quite exposed, so they're not the best, but not awful. So backseat practicality isn't bad. You've got a pocket on the back of the passenger seat, not on the back of the driver's seat, but you do have the electric windows, which go down all the way, which is not something you see in hardly any cars now, so that's great. You do also have a handle and also light control. You don't have any climate control though to the back, but as it is a small car, that's kind of common to see that. You don't have any tilt for your seats either, but again, in a small SUV, you don't generally see that. So then, what are my final thoughts of the Subaru Crosstrek? Well, I've really enjoyed my time with this vehicle. It's very capable off-road, it's very comfortable, it feels safe, and it is a nice car overall to drive and live with. No, it doesn't feel the most modern, but if you are looking for a thoroughly capable four-wheel drive vehicle, which is compact and still has those modern features, I think the Subaru won't let you down. It is one of those cars that really could be a companion for you for many years to come, because you know it's going to be reliable and safe vehicle. It has got its downsides. That is smoother, cheaper, more sleeker, fuel efficient vehicles out there, plenty of them, but the USP of this vehicle is its off-roading capability, which it can do very well. It makes you feel very confident on the road or on the rockier surfaces with the hill descent control in the X mode. That is fantastic. And when it's slippy and everything, you don't have any wheel spin that you get from other hybrids, etc. Would be better to be more fuel efficient, and some things could feel more modern, but it kind of adds to the charm of the vehicle. Thanks again to Subaru UK for providing me with the Crosstrek for this video. I hope you enjoyed this review of something a little bit different. I certainly did. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in my next review.